It's on deck with Evil Dead Chick. What's in store when you open the door? Step inside, my little ones. Bring your flashlight and good luck charms. Oh, and good luck charms. Oh. Might get dark. It might get scary. Maybe even a little insane. Crawl out from under the bed. Don't be afraid. Evil Dead Chick is here to entertain and thrill. Dead Eyes on deck with Evil Dead Chick. Let's hang out till the sun comes up. Hanging around with Dick. So many movies, which one to pick? Exploitation overload, crazy comedies, kung fu fun, horror by the pound. Hanging around with Dick. So many movies, which one will you pick? Hanging around with Dick. So many movies, which one will you pick? Will you pick?
Howdy, gang. And first of all, I'd like to say I am sorry for it being so late to do this one. In fact, I kind of thought, well, maybe there'd be more people in here, but people seem to watch these Dick's Picks on the replay rather than watching them live, and maybe that's a hint to me that maybe I need to do them as a video only. But I like getting on here and I like doing these live streams regardless of how many people I have in here. So we're going to get to these two movies, Challenge of the Tiger and For Your Height Only, in just a second. But I did want to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way first. Um, so hopefully I will be able to have at a normal time about 8ish in the evening. Um, a cannon fodder tomorrow night. And also, hopefully, I will be able to do a They're All Messed Up on Thursday. Still not sure about Friday Foolish. I will have to double check with Candace again to see if she would be able to do that this week. In fact, a little bit earlier, I thought, well, earlier today, right when I got up for work, I was not feeling good at all. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to work. And then I thought about it, thought about it, and thought about it. And um, I thought, well, hey, I'll go ahead and do the Dick's Picks. And I got to feeling better and enjoyed sitting there watching the two movies for this edition of Dick's Picks. So, um, but I didn't intend it to be so late. I did get off earlier than normal from work, but I dilly dallied around and messed around and didn't, get to watching the movies till later. And then the dogs, wanted out and different things happened. So, um, but hopefully I'll be able to do all of that. We've got a couple of watch alongs coming up this weekend. Um, for Saturday, May 31st will be The Lost Boys, so be sure to tune in for that one. Sunday, June 1st will be Meatballs, starring Bill Murray. And that was the tiebreaker. This is the first tiebreaker I've ever had to do for a watch along weekend. But there was a tie between Meatballs and Grease. And for you people that don't like Grease, be glad that the coin toss worked out in the favor of Meatballs. So we got that coming up. And not this weekend, but the following weekend will be month 2 of Evil Dead Chicks Slasher Fest. And it'll also be celebrate my birthday. So we'll have 2 things in one. The movies that we'll be watching will be The Burning and Bloody Birthday. And of course, Bloody Birthday is going to be in honor of my 49th birthday. 49 years on this planet, folks. So it's kind of, it blows my mind a little bit when I think about it. But I also want to invite you guys and gals, if you haven't, to head on over to deadeyesondeck.com, my horror shop. Tell them Poe sent you. Poe, of course, is the official Deadites on Deck horror shop mascot. There is a Movie Munchies mascot as well, RJ, who, if you watched the last Movie Munchies I did for Slaughterland Pub Cheese, you saw RJ make a couple of appearances there. So he will be turned into a plushie at some point. The only plushie I've got right now is Poe. And again, I'll be glad to show Poe off for those of you that haven't gotten a chance to see him. And this is the first Poe, and this is going to be my Poe. Candace, she encouraged me every step of the way on this, and she said he looked like a ghoulie from the movie Ghoulies, which I thought that was a compliment. But each one is going to be different from the other. There's no 2 Poes that are going to be the same. And I'm planning on, changing them up and improving them. But this is my buddy Poe right here. And I'm going to put him back here where he sits. So soon I'm going to have those up on the Deadites on Deck shop for $50 a piece, and that's because they're hand sewn. They're one of a kind. Like I said, no one Poe is going to be like another Poe because there's no way I can make them exactly the same hand sewing them. These are not factory produced products, folks, and I'm not using a sewing machine. And when I get the plushies up there, the price of the Booga Booga Bears will go down to $30 because I'm not actually sewing those. I'm putting a t-shirt on there with the design of your choice. And so I figured, get the handmade stuff on there. That'll have the bigger price tag. And the Booga Booga Bears that I don't have to do as much work for and on will go down to $30. Okay, but I'd still do have a lot of t-shirt designs. More are forthcoming. Tote bags, mouse pads, candles, blended teas. Yeah, so be sure to go over and check all of that out at deadeyesondeck.com. All right, so let's go ahead and get to these movies because it is 10 after 11 and it is late, and I've got a few things I got to do before I get settled down for the night. So I don't have actual copies of these movies. Now, Steve has a copy of For Your Height Only. However, I could not find it, and so I had to watch it on YouTube. For Your Height Only is available on YouTube to watch for free. Challenge of the Tiger, which I'm going to talk about here in a few seconds, is available on Tubi to watch for free. So you can watch both of them for free if you like. Hey, Menelect. Because I don't have actual physical copies of them, I'm going to be putting up some little screenshots of posters. And here we've got one. And this is starring Bruce Lee. Um, and I'm glad I noticed that there were stars on the woman's boobs there. Don't want to get myself in trouble with the YouTube police for showing, things that I shouldn't be showing. So I guess you could maybe call this one of the Bruce exploitation movies. I think this is actually something somebody has created, but um, it had Bruce Lee on the front of it. So I wanted to make sure that I showed him because he's a big part of Challenge of the Tiger. Um, so Challenge of the Tiger, it's not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination, but again, it's a fun movie, and it concerns two guys, one played by Bruce Lee and his buddy. It's almost like a buddy cop movie. Only I don't think these guys are cops. I think they're like agents that work for maybe the government or something like that, or maybe they work for the police force, but these guys are definitely not cops. So Bruce Lee, his character is not traditional in any way. I mean, he goes out and kicks these guys' asses all over the place, all the bad guys. And it's all because everybody wants to get a hold of, and why I don't know. Why would you want to make men sterile? But there's a woman in the film who has something a scientist created that makes men sterile, and everybody wants it. Apparently, they were even willing to kill for whatever this formula is. And so Bruce Lee's his character, his buddy seduces the woman that has this formula early on, and it looks like she gets shot and killed, but it's all a ruse because she shows up later, and she's working with some not very nice guys who are protecting her basically because she has this formula. And I'm like, why do all these guys want a formula that would make them sterile? Unless they're not wanting to have children, you know what I mean? But, it was just kind of a weird thing. But I had fun with the movie. I had fun with the fight scenes, a ton of martial arts fight scenes in this, tons of bad guys for Bruce Lee and his buddy to fight. And I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed his friend, hopping into bed with any and all women he can get in this film because he's pretty suave, folks. You don't ever see Bruce Lee with any women, but you see his buddy with women from the beginning of the movie until just about the end of the movie. In fact, there's a scene where he goes to play tennis with topless chicks. And I kid you not. But keep in mind, this is a Dick Randall produced film, and Dick Randall did a lot of, he didn't do pornos, but he did a lot of films with a lot of female flesh in them. I'll just say that, a lot of topless chicks and all that. Um, and a lot of ass shots and on the ladies. Um, so there's a lot to like about this film, even though it's not what you would call a good film or a great film or anything like that. It's just a fun film, fun little time waster. It's not very long. It's about an hour 27, hour 28 minutes long, just shy of an hour and 30 minutes. So, it'd be a good, time waster on a Sunday evening when you're just trying to get relaxed and you just want to have fun with something. And This one will probably be a good one for Steve to watch on Sundays, because he traditionally watches, um, stuff like this on a Sunday. Although he usually watches better films than this, but I'm going to ask him if he's ever seen Challenge of the Tiger, and I'm going to recommend it to him because I think he would enjoy it. So, even though there's quite a bit of female nudity in this, um, I know, folks. I still don't have my halves. I need to do that. But see if you can visualize a half there because I'm going to give Challenge of the Tiger 3.5 stars. I couldn't quite give it 4, but I'll give it 3.5. Um, so that is Challenge of the Tiger. Now, oh wow, thank you, Manelec, for the $10 super chat. And I'm assuming that you want me to do a movie roulette for what we do in the shadows. And I don't think I have ever seen that. So thank you uh for that, for not only the $10 super chat, but for recommending a movie for me to watch that I have not seen. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it. All right. So everybody be on the lookout for an upcoming movie roulette for what we do in the shadows that Milek picked. Thank you once again, sir. Um, so I'm going to put that up there for everybody to see there. I like to put all the super chats up there anyway. Um, so moving on to the coup de grace, in my opinion, for tonight's Dick's Fix, and that is For Your Height Only. And this is a very, very unusual film. And I have Steve to thank for introducing me to this film several years ago. And he always referred to this actor as Wei Wei. I actually think it's pronounced Wang Wang. And that is not his real name, of course. Let me see if I can bring up. Um, his birth name is Ernesto de la Cruz, and he was only 2 feet 9 inches tall. So he was almost 3 feet, but he was a little guy. Um, so I want to give you a little background on Wang Wang. I think he is a very interesting character, and I usually don't, or actor rather, and martial arts guy. But in For Your Height Only, he was basically a James Bond type of ripoff character, just called Double O. Um, so I really, really like the humor in this. There's a lot of humor, and I'm going to say the condition that Wang Wang had, um, and this is the medical term for it. He was a primordial dwarf, and I'm not trying to insult anybody. That is what this was called. And his brother said that when Wang Wang was born, he was the size of a Coke bottle. That's little. Um, but he became the most famous Filipino celebrity of his generation, both inside the Philippines and abroad. And I think movies like For Your Height Only, which wasn't the only one he was in, but it's the one I remember because this is the one that Steve um, showed to me way back when. Um, the I was trying to find where it talked about his brother. Okay, so he was born Ernesto de la Cruz. He was the youngest of 5 brothers. on September 7th, 1957, in Balacaran, a district of Pasay City, now part of the sprawling 17-city metro Manila. Um, and he again had a condition known as primordial dwarfism, um, that caused him to be born, in the words of his brother Seling, no bigger than a Coke bottle. And he spent the first 12 months of his life in an incubator. So he spent the first year of his life in an incubator. They didn't even expect him to live. Um, and it was declared a miracle when he did. And in a country that um, talks a lot about miraculous acts of faith, it is no surprise that Wang Wang was dressed as the Christ child figure at the head of Baclaran's yearly Santo Nino parade. And so he was a mischievous child, and his family nicknamed him Wang Wang, an epithet usually reserved for toy dogs. He was obsessed with martial arts, which makes sense, is why he became so fluent in martial arts. And he trained almost daily. So he was really serious about it until his instructor contacted film producer Peter Cabalas and said, "You just have to see this, Peter," and his wife. The successful businesswoman Cora Ridon Cabalas took Wang Wang on the rounds of film producers, including Bobby A. Suarez, whose novelty kiddie films The Bionic Boy and Dynamite Johnson were already international hits. So Suarez turned down the idea of Wang Wang being a little Superman, like a pint-sized Superman. But successful indie producer and director Louis San Juan, who specialized in kung fu films for the export market, cast Wang Wang in a cameo in a film whose name is now lost to the sands of time. But eventually, we get Wang Wang in For Your Height Only. And like I said, this is the movie that introduced me to Wang Wang. And like I said, Steve always referred to him as Wei Wei. But like I said, I believe it's pronounced Wang Wang. So we have this guy, Wang Wang, playing a double agent, just referred to as Double O. And he gets the ladies, and he says lines like, "Shall we get it on?" And I just laughed and laughed because it's been a while since I had seen For Your Height Only, and it was good to go back and watch it again. So he gets his fair share of ladies. He's kissing on ladies. He's getting it on with ladies, all kinds of stuff. And he does the most incredible things because of how small he is. He's kind of can be out of sight, and the bad guys don't see him, and all of a sudden he shows up, and he does this thing where he slides on the floor, and he'll slide in a corner and slide around and shoot the guys. I mean, it's just incredible. Women that are helping him out. There's a one woman agent named Irma who is helping him out to try to get the bad guys who are wanting to sell drugs to kids, apparently, or just give the kids drugs and get them addicted to it. And they're hiding them, it looks like, in loaves of bread. So there's a guy that's only referred to as Mr. Giant, and he talks through mirrors basically the whole movie until near the very end when Wang Wang does battle with him. And you find out that he's just a little bit taller, slightly taller than Wang Wang, and he's called Mr. Giant. But you have a lot of funny lines, a lot of funny stuff happening, a lot of kung fu, martial arts action. And like I said, the women will pick him up. The women that are helping him will pick him up and he will kick the guys in the chest or whatever. Or he'll go down from down below and kick them in the balls. And I mean, just a absolutely, fun movie. Again, I couldn't say it's a good movie in the sense that people think of good movies. But it's a fun and very entertaining movie, and that makes it great. That makes it fantastic in my eyes. And I'm thankful, to Steve for introducing me to this movie many moons ago. And I was like, I should have watched this again, but like I said, I couldn't find Steve's copy, and he probably don't even know where it is. And there was even a documentary about Wang Wang, and I'm trying to remember what it was called. Um, Oops, sorry about that. And sadly, Wang Wang died. He died at age 34, August 29th, 1992, of a heart attack. Now, I don't know if that was related to his condition or not, but it is sad because he was a very entertaining guy. I believe the documentary on him was The Search for Wang Wang, and Steve has that as well. And maybe that's what I'm thinking of that he has. Maybe he doesn't actually have a physical copy of For Your Height Only. I'm going to have to ask him. But Steve gave money, I guess, as a Kickstarter for them to be able to finish this Search for Wang Wang documentary. And Steve's name is actually in the end credits or something as a thanks for giving money. So if you want to watch The Search for Wang Wang, um, then I urge you to do that, um, and to watch Your Height For Your Height Only as well. So I guess that is all for me. All other than I'm going to give this sucker because I just love it so much. I'm going to give it 5 deadites out of 5. It does have one sad part at the end. Just wanted to let you know that I had forgotten about, and I was kind of like, oh, and it doesn't happen to Wang Wang. He's okay, but it will happen to somebody else in the film. Um, but I guess that is all for me. I've been on here almost 30 minutes, and I got to do a couple of things before I get settled down for the night. But Menelect, and anybody else that was watching that maybe wasn't, didn't want to be active in the chat, that's fine. I appreciate everybody that tuned in for this edition of Dick's Picks. Stay tuned. Tomorrow night, I should hopefully earlier in the evening be having another cannon fodder. And thank you once again, Menelect, for the $10 super chat. And I will be talking about What We Do in the Shadows from 2014 and an upcoming edition of Movie Roulette. And I forgot to remind people that they could do that, but Menelect remembered. So again, any live streams I do, if you give a $5 or more super chat, you can pick any movie of your choosing for me to watch and do a review on an upcoming episode of Movie Roulette. And you can do just like Menelect did. And give me a movie that you want me to watch and review. It could even be something that I said I hated before. It can be any genre. It doesn't have to be horror. It can be comedy. It can be drama. It could be sci-fi, what have you. But that's how Movie Roulette works. If you want to play, that's how you play. So, as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday night, folks. And I'll see everybody next time.